Chapter 11-Chauffeur-bob.
During my last year at Eastern Michigan University, I lived with 3 other students, Mike, Ted, and Bob. The 4 of us moved out of Pittman Hall dorm into an on-campus apartment. Mike, Ted, and Bob were graduating from the undergraduate school of business while I was graduating from my MBA. In the months of leading up to graduation, all 4 of us had worked through our on-campus recruiting center. I was the only one who did not receive a job offer. I had applied to over 200 corporations and was receiving an average of 10 to 15 rejections each week. I received close to 100 polite Dear John letters and did not hear from the rest. I surmised that they did not want me and were being impolite for not getting back with me. I felt I was far more qualified and educated than my younger American apartment mates. How come those people get job offers and I don't? This was discrimination in action. I wished I were a white man. I was getting worried. If I did not get a full-time job, my stay in the U.S. would not be extended. The immigration authorities would simply say, "You came here to get your education. You have done that. Now go home." I feared that if I failed to find a job, they would come and get me and deport me. Whatever I was doing to secure employment was obviously not enough. It was time to do something different. Now was the time to pound the pavement and start responding to newspaper ads and work the phones. First, I needed transportation. Not having an automobile is a lot like not having legs. There was no public transportation, and any kind of taxi service was out of the question because it was too expensive. Just thinking about my lack of transportation options made me anxious. I had recently learned to emulate one of my apartment mates, Bob. His favorite phrase was, "It sucks." That is exactly what I said when Bob came back from his classes and asked me how things were going. Every afternoon, Bob lifted weights to exercise. He had joined the varsity baseball team playing the position of pitcher. He was 6.5 feet tall, had a symmetrical face, broad muscular shoulders, a relatively narrow waist, and a V-shaped torso. The women on campus liked him because he was a genuine example of beauty. He was macho and aesthetically pleasing. According to my family, I was just plain homely. I possessed none of Bob's physical attributes. I wanted what he had. I believe that good-looking people create a persona that they also have positive attributes. Good-looking people postulate that they are smart and confident, which translates into getting employment, social opportunities, promotions, and money. I see comfort in the notion that beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Someday, I will find that 1 in a million taciturn beholder who will admire my magnificence and will give me what I want. However, for now, I have to deal with the problem of not having a right to go to looking for a job. "What sucks?" Bob asked, waking me up from my lapse of jealousy running adrift. "Well, Bob, I don't have a car. I don't have a way to go around and drop off my resumes in offices. I need to get a job or they will deport my ass back to India where I will starve to death." I'm pretty sure my anxieties were perceptible to Bob. "I can help you," replied Bob. "I'm going home this weekend. I will bring up my MG, British 2-seat open sports car, and take you around Southfield." "You will?" I was pleasantly surprised that Bob made such an offer. I did not even know that he owned an MG. Having a car on campus was deemed a major pain in the ass. I expressed my gratitude. "Thank you, Bob. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you were a woman, I would kiss you. On second thought, you would make a tall, muscular, ugly woman. Forget the kiss. No need to do that, my brother from another mother. That is the least I can do for a red dot. Red dot is a bright dot of red color applied in the center of the forehead, primarily worn by women of India, a fashion statement representing and preserving the symbolic significance. Bob was trying to be funny. I did not like brother from another mother one bit. For some reason, Bob always called me that. I suppose it was easier for him to pronounce than my actual name. Bob, why can't you say my name, Sudhir? It is Dear Sue backwards, Sue Dear. Sue Dear, Bob laughed. It's hard to say or remember. What the hell is so hard? I speak your whole damn language and you can't say my name? Well, why can't you guys have simple names like John, Dick, Joe, or Elizabeth? Because our names are derived from Sanskrit. Sue means good and Dear means patience. Good patience, that is me. I'm the example of good patience. American names have no meanings. I was being righteous. Yes, they do, Bob said. John means toilet. Dick means... I cut him off. Okay, I know where you're going with this, Bob. If I hadn't just cut you off, you would have said something that would have insulted all the Richards of the world. At this point, the conversation dwindled into adolescent nonsense, as so many of conversations did during those precious college years. By the time the weekend arrived, I was all ready to go with Bob to drop off my resumes at various offices. I had put on the suit that I had brought from India. It was a custom-made suit that my mother had insisted be built big enough to last for 20 years. My briefcase was full of my overly proofread laser-printed resumes. When we got in the car to leave, Bob tried to start his stick-shift manual transmission, but it was not cooperating. Instead, it was jerking, misfiring, buckling, smelling, and stalling. Understandably frustrated, Bob told me to get out of the car and push while he depressed the clutch pedal. I took off my coat, got out of the car, walked around to the back, and attempted to push car. A passerby finally walked over to help. I was thankful for the extra help, as I could not have pushed the car all by myself, especially with Bob sitting in the driver's seat. After a few heavy clutch pedal feedback, the engine finally started, and from there we were on our way. Southfield, Michigan is a city that neighbors Detroit. Because Bob grew up there, he knew his way around the city. He was able to take me to each of the 10 office buildings that I had pre-selected. As I dropped off my resumes with prospective employers at various office buildings, Bob would wait patiently in the parking lots of the different buildings. Mostly what I heard at these places was the receptionist saying, "We're not hiring, the boss is out of the office, and will not be back for the rest of the day. We don't have anything available. Leave your resume and we will get back with you. Don't call us, we will call you." I found this discouraging, humiliating, and depressing. As soon as we were finished driving around and passing out my resumes, Bob invited me to his home. "My parents want to meet you," he said. "My mom will have dinner ready for us." That was very nice of his mother. I was hungry. Plus, I enjoyed being the object of show and tell that evening. As we entered the house, both his dad and mom got out of their chair and greeted us. His mom hugged Bob, then she came over and hugged me too. This made me feel uncomfortable at first. Nobody had ever hugged me before. I do not remember my father or mother ever doing that to me when I was growing up. Nevertheless, I rather liked this mechanism of affection. I made a note to myself that if a young woman of my age were ever to hug me like this, she could have all of me. "I'm so glad to meet you," said his mother. "Ah, what's your name again?" Bob had me practice saying it earlier. "What was it again? Dear Sid or something? I don't know. Hell, I'll call you Sid. I hope you don't mind." Everybody laughed, including me. Bob's dad suggested that maybe I should change my name to Sid because it was easier to say. I still could not understand why the hell it was so difficult to say Dear Sue backwards, Sue dear for Sue dear. However, from then on, my business name became Sid. "So Sid, how did Bob do chauffeuring you around today?" asked Bob's mom. "A friend in need is a friend indeed," I replied. "He really helped me. I will never forget his gracious deed. He did not have to do this. He waited outside for me in the parking lots while I was waiting in the offices. He has my gratitude. You have raised a fine son, Mrs. M." She laughed. "You remind me of Eddie Haskell. What a bullshitter." "Okay then," I said, "how about my dream coming true? White man chauffeuring an Indian." That retort broke the ice. There was a lot of laughter, and things got even funnier from then on. Following dinner, Bob and I retired to his garage to see about his car. Bob's high school buddy, Gary, came over with his toolbox full of scattered tools. Gary was in pursuit of achieving his dream of becoming a stand-up comic at a local comedy club, while at the same time learning to be an auto mechanic. He was majoring in history and political science at Eastern Michigan University. He had political aspirations and dreamed of one day being asked to be the running mate of a U.S. presidential candidate. "This MG just needs a tune-up," Gary proclaimed after briefly looking under the hood. "Bob, when I get done with this, you will not have to push it anymore." Bob was happy not to have to pay a lot of money to an auto dealership service department. He also felt good to be helping Gary for his college tuition. It was a win-win situation. Gary was prophetic. He kept his word. We did not have to push the MG ever again. That is because the car was permanently broken. After Gary worked on it extensively in his garage, all the king's horses and all the king's men would not put Humpty Dumpty back together again. The MG was dead. Bob's dad, Mr. M, could not stop laughing. With that "I told you so" look, he would tell that story to anybody that would listen for many years. The MG had to be towed to the repair shop. Bob did not have the money to fix it up enough to sell. Bob officially declared the MG dead and sold it to the junkyard, who took the body away for parts. We have been laughing about it to this day. A few days later, I got a phone call from one of the companies Bob took me to, Wang Laboratories Incorporated, and they hired me. That was my first full-time job and the beginning of great things to come. Aha! So what have you learned? 1. If your car is not running, you are in deep shit. 2. You have neither the time nor the talent to fix any automobile. 3. Help from a non-professional is a buy of obligation from a friend. 4. If you want anything done right, get it done by a professional.